Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be zeroing the thermal side of the DNT ThermNight 635R Optic. We're back at the same place. We've come in the morning, so it's the following day from yesterday when the cows were in the way. But I've come in the morning, so 9 degrees today. It's not sunny. It's a little bit bare, to be fair. Ideal conditions for zeroing a thermal. We've got the target again. I've bought some heat pads and kitchen foil from tin foil, which I'm just going to tape on in the middle around the edges. So I'm just going to bore sight it, do one shot in the middle, see where it lands, and then hopefully we'll do some adjustments and get the thermal all sighted in exactly like that one. I'll just cut up some kitchen foil, obviously, so we've got a big square there which we're going to be bore sighting at and doing some shots and getting it hitting that massive square. And then when we come to finalise it, I've just done a little square there, which is obviously roughly the same size as that circle. As long as I can get bullets within that, well, look, that's that's good enough for me for what I'm doing. With thermal as well, I don't think you will ever get them bullet through bullet like that on an exact target unless you spend ages at the range, which sadly I don't have that time to do. Which ultimately, though, as long as it's shooting a big thumb, I've got small skinny fingers, then that's good enough for me. I'm actually going to put this a bit closer because the cows are well out of the way today. They're all in that field in the far corner. So I'm going to go forward a bit, and it's like 50 metres from where my finger is pointing to that fence. So I'll shoot right into the bottom of the dip at 50 metres to start with this thermal. If you haven't seen the last video, we're obviously setting up the scope here, the ThermNight 635R. So it's got a 640 sensor, thermal and day-night optic with a Sony Starvis 2 camera inside. Obviously on this 308 here, shooting 123 grain Seiko. We're going to be setting up the thermal today. I've already done the other one, and the target is at 40 metres, just to do a quick close-up shot with the thermal to see where we're going and get on paper. I've just had a little play, like getting it focused up on that, and you can do picture in picture on this. So that is a little screen at the top, either thermal or day mode, whichever one you're not using as such, or you can have it in night mode as well. So I'll display that footage on the screen now, so you can see, obviously, because I've set up the day-night mode, the crosshair is high and to the right. So let's start recording and then it'll make sense, and then I'll overlay the footage. So let's tap that back button to start recording. So I'm recording through the scope now. So you can see I've got thermal as the majority of the screen, day and night as the top picture in picture. So if I hold my crosshair on that bottom little tinfoil square I've put on, in the thermal crosshair that is, you can see my picture in picture crosshair, which is day night mode, which has obviously been zeroed and correct, is saying I'm going to hit like the top right hand bit of the target. So I think what I'm going to do to start with is aim at the bottom bit where I'm aiming with the thermal, and then I think, theoretically speaking, it should be hitting where the picture in picture one is aiming, and then we can do an adjustment. So let's give it a go and see what happens, because ultimately this is a bit of a learning curve for me. But failing that, I'll just go to setting it up as a completely different scope. So I'll just see where that bullet hits and we'll just zero it from there. But ultimately I'd rather trial it, and potentially save you guys some bullets by, if you set up the day one first, then you can set up the thermal one within like 1 or 2 bullets. So I'll give it a go. I'm going to fire a shot at that bottom aluminium foil target at the bottom there on the screen, and it should hit the top right, I think. So let's put my defenders on and let's fire that shot. They're the rounds we're going to be using. They're 308 123 grain Seikos. They are factory loads. They're just in a home load thing here. Yeah, so looking at it with the picture in picture, it's gone through up there. What I'm going to do, just to prove there, because that's on the left hand edge, I'm just going to aim a bit to the left again of the foil, and it should land where I'm aiming now. I'll do that one more shot and then I'll be happy. So let's keep these separate. We've got one so far. Let's do another one. Yeah, so my theory was correct. As you can see, I was aiming a touch left on the thermal target of the bottom aluminium square, and in the top picture in picture, which is very handy, you can already see the advantages of the dual mode. You can see both bullets are hitting there. So straight away now, I've just got to freeze whilst on the thermal mode, whilst looking at that bottom left hand edge of the aluminium foil, and adjust up to the top corner. But what I'm actually going to do is, I've seen a little trick online, so I can't see them bullet holes where they've striked in the thermal. So I'm going to go and get some foil from the van and a small tiny little pinhole, or you can get a bullet casing, something which is a good temperature difference. I'm going to go and stick that on where the bullet holes are, and then I can clearly see where to adjust. Target now after the first thermal shots. So I was aiming on the left hand edge of that foil with the thermal scope, and obviously the day-night image was saying it was going to hit up there, and obviously the two bullets have hit there. So that's good how it works like that. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a small little tiny dinky bit of foil I'm going to stick up there. So that's everything all taped up. Yes, it looks a mess, but ultimately, as long as it works, it works. So I've taped up where them two bullet holes were. There's one there and there's one there, so that's fine. So I can hold and freeze there, move up to there, and then do one shot probably at that, and as long as it hits within that lot, I'll be fine. I'll come down here, move the target from here up to there, and move back where I am, back towards my van. So that's then at the 90 meters, and this should be then pretty sound at 90 meters. It won't be too far off. We'll just have to do a height adjustment. So we're back at the rifle now, so we're going to obviously do that adjustment. So I do that. I'm not too sure if this records whilst I'm in the menu doing the adjustment. A lot of scopes don't do that, just because there's no real need to record that really, and I presume it just messes with the settings inside of them. So I'll do that adjustment, and then I'll fire a shot. But the other thing to note, having a quick look through battery level. So I've been out for a good couple of hours yesterday. The battery was on 3 bars when I left out of 4, and it's on 2 bars currently still. So what, have I been here 40 minutes this morning so far, just setting up and stuff. I turned the scope on and used the rangefinder and left it on. I've not been putting it on standby either, so I think they say 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours off a battery full charge on their website. Obviously it would vary in conditions. If it's -20, obviously it's going to be a little bit less, but ultimately you have got the thing of keeping another battery in your pocket and then just slotting it in. That's the advantage of having battery style ones where you can just keep a charged up battery. I always keep 2 charged up 18650s and these batteries in my gun bag, so then you can just swap them out. But yeah, let's do an adjustment. So we're recording through the scope now. I've done that adjustment, so now you'll see if I line up, let's say that bottom aluminium foil square, both reticles are pretty much where I'm aiming, there or thereabouts, within a centimetre. So it's now time where we're getting to finalising and obviously shooting within an inch or 2. So I'm going to do this shot here, which is my third shot. So I did the 2 to confirm they were going in the top right, did an adjustment, and then this third shot should hit in and around that bottom tinfoil square. As long as it hits there, I'll move it back to 90 meters, reposition at 90 meters away, and then do a couple of shots to get it absolutely bang on. But let's do this shot. Other things to note as well, like when you are on range days, I'm no range expert or shooting expert. I'm just learnt off me dad and his mates and stuff like that, doing stuff like this, to be fair, and just being out there, having trigger time. So like here, obviously with your bipod, I don't like to extend it all the way, but here we're gonna have to, and I'd have a good sandbag, getting your elbows out, making sure you're comfy, just the normal things really, like pretending you're having a sleep on the gun. When you put your cheek on it, you just want to be like, just plonking it on steadily. Feet, obviously lying down, keeping your feet like flat, but it's whatever's best for you really. Right, so I'm pretty confident and steady on that bottom middle bit, so I'm going to squeeze that shot off now. Just going to take one breath and then go for it. It's hit a little bit low, but I think that's fine at 40 meters. So let's move that back to 90 now and do a shot and then do an adjustment. But yeah, happy with that. It's moving in the right direction. I think for 3 shots, that's not too bad, considering it's something new, and I've never done a day-night optic like this with dual lenses. Back down here, obviously we did the froze it there, did the adjustment up to there, and then 90 meters now. You can see the target down there. So let's have a look and see what it looks like. It might not be the best, that tin foil at this range now, so I might have to get something out of my van, like a heat pad or something, and heat it up. I've got a heat gun with me, so I might have to heat something up to get a real good temperature difference. Try not to line cow poo, that might help as well. Oh great, there's a dandelion literally right in the middle of that. Let's get this way a little bit. Right, so I'm recording for the scope now. I'm not zoomed in, that's why. Right, so let's range find it. We are gonna pop up, so that little box pops up. 89 or 90 meters, so it's pretty much bang on to where we were yesterday. We're in the exact same spot, I can see. Let's zoom in a bit. So yeah, so obviously the more you zoom in, it is going to get blurry because it is a digital scope. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and rip that big bit of aluminium foil off, which is in the middle, that big blob of heat on the left, and then I'm going to go and put something really hot down there and shoot at that. So I've got a few different tools. Got a heat gun, tape, knife, screwdriver, and then I've also got a penny washer and a self tapper. So what my plan is, screw that into the board, heat it up with the heat gun, just like that, and then we'll be able to clearly see this when it's like piping red hot through the thermal scope, and we'll shoot at that, and then obviously we'll be able to see where the bullet lands using the other lens, the day image, and then we'll be to freeze it on this, quickly adjust it over, and then that should be us shooting within a penny washer. Ripped off that big square of aluminium that I thought I'd need, put the penny washer in, and now it's time to just heat it up. So I'm just going to heat this up, get it piping hot, and then we're going to have a look. I've just quickly heated up that penny washer and ran back, so let's quickly have a look, see what that's like. Right, so I've had a look through, being completely open and honest. You can see the heat of it in the middle, so I'll start recording now and I'll display that footage. So you can see the heat of the penny washer in the middle, obviously displaying in the white circle, but obviously it is quite blurry because we're zoomed all the way in. but obviously I need to be zoomed all the way in, because if I zoom out, you'll see it's just, yeah, not as, let me change the reticle colour to red, see if that helps. That's a bit better. So I'm going to aim and shoot at that middle of that penny washer. That is not far off at all. Yeah. So, thermal, obviously you're never going to get bullet on bullet, especially with what I'm looking at there, like target wise. But it's still close. But it's shooting an inch low, looking at it. So, that's fine. We'll do an adjustment down a little bit, and then do another shot. So I've done one click down as we're shooting about an inch low on the thermal. Obviously I've left the day zero as is, so I'm pretty confident we're going to be bang on now with everything. So I'm just going to run down there. I've let the barrel cool down on the rifle, and obviously the penny wash just cooled down, so I'm going to go and heat that up again a little bit, or have a look if I've got something cool in my van and put that on there. But I'll probably just heat the penny washer up a little bit, shoot at that with the thermal, and that will hit. And then obviously I'll shoot it the target or the aluminium foil that I can clearly see with the day-night image to make sure that's still bang on, as ultimately you never know. I'm confident it still will be bang on though, so I'll be happy if both of those bullets go where I'm aiming, like within that inch little targets. Then I'm happy this is all set up and ready to be used on live quarry. Right, so what I've done is a couple more shots. So in total now we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that was my 10th shot. I did a couple shots in between recording just to tweak it a little bit and get the zero bang on. So I've just done one shot through, so I've tweaked it, got it where I think it's going to be bang on. I taped off the board, so I've literally just got on show the foil at the bottom, which I was just aiming at, and there was no bullet holes in it. So I'm going to go up to it now and I'll show you that, and there should be a bullet hole in the centre. Looking at the picture-in-picture on here, there's a bullet hole in the centre of the foil, so that's okay. And then I'm going to leave this cool down for a second, and then I'll swap to day image and fire at the same exact position, and it should hit roughly within that foil square. As long as that second bullet hits within the foil square, I'm happy both are zeroed. That thermal zero is good enough for me. Switch to day mode on the full screen, and then picture-in-picture thermal, and we'll shoot a shot at the either that tin foil or just that red dot, whichever looks clearer. And as long as it hits either within that black circle, or if I'm aiming at that within that tin foil, I'll be happy with that. Swapping back over to normal day mode image and picture-in-picture. I think that's literally gone through the same exact hole. So that is ideal. Job's a good one. Right, let's go and have a look. But I'm happy with that. And like I say, what's that? What we've got there, 4, 5, 6. And then we've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bullets used with the thermal. Well, technically 10, and then 1 then on the day image. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 bullets on day image shooting, and 10 bullets setting up the thermal, and a couple were just to fine tune it, so setting it up. So 17 all in, pretty much a box of bullets. Is not bad for having a few practice goes and fine tuning it and getting it shooting perfect. So I'm happy with that, and that is the ThermNight 635R all zeroed.